Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, it's me. My name is Aaron. I am the Division H Director for District 89 to 118. Now, today's topic is we have actually customized design. The first part we will talk about understanding emotional intelligence. Now, understanding emotional intelligence is a very unique thing because I'm actually in an NLP place venue, and there's lots of this kind of equipment and NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming, which is kind of really related to today's topic. I'm not selling NLP program, but I'm actually focusing on the point related to how this project helps you to grow. Now, unfortunately, I have only Chinese version because I did this when I was using Mandarin, so it will be in Chinese, but I will translate into English for a reference. So I'm going to share the screen right now. So everyone's do the same thing. You will have this manual PDF file you can download from Basecamp as usual. Remember, you can choose your manual's languages. What do I mean by that? Meaning that when you choose this path, choose the language that you want. I choose this one specifically for Chinese Simplified because I want to do the comparisons of the Chinese manuals against the English manuals to see the accuracy of it. There's a translation team for the Chinese Simplified version team. So don't worry, I'll translate. So this one is level 3 project, understanding emotional intelligence. Now, why do we actually focus on emotional intelligence over, I would say, public speaking? It's because sometimes we need to learn more about ourselves and how our emotions affect people. And that's the real relevance of this project. You will realize that this project is not available in the traditional program. You will not find it. It actually focuses more in depth of how your emotions affects your network, your communication skills. So it's in between leadership and public speaking skills techniques at the same time. Now going downwards, it actually has one specific focus. The focus is really focusing on how do you cultivate and also focus on how emotions affects relationships. By the means of relationships, it means with the audience, with the people that you know, it can be that way. It also allows you on how other people's emotions affect you. Now, why do we really need to care about that? Is because when we actually talk a public speech in a stage, like 500 people, you'll see lots of people are doing like this, looking at you with a frown face, or maybe like angrily looking at you, or maybe smiling at you. This actually affects the speaker's performance. And I highly value this project compared to other level 3 because it really makes sense. It really is practical. It's applicable to your workplace. It's applicable to any public speech or communication. Just try it. This project is very unique in one place. Now, can anyone tell me in the chat box, where does this project come from? Which path? Can you type the answer into the chat box if you know?
I don't know. 我不知道。more like
If you do, please actually type in. It actually helps you so much more. Motivational strategy, yes. Now, along me here, I actually have, I wouldn't say it's a perfume. It's actually more like a fragrance. One of the practices I tried to do when I was using this project itself is to breathe in this perfume aroma. It actually kind of makes me feel in the nature, or maybe in a place where I can smell my mom's sweat. No, that's disgusting. But I'm just saying that there are some smells, some visualization that allows you to find your inner peace. So you can try to do this practice before you do this one, because it helps you to identify your correct emotions that help you guide through your understandings of your emotions and people's emotions. Now, this is very unique because it actually requires you to do 2 weeks of records. So there's a piece of paper for you to write at the end. Write on your feelings and how it affects people. Happy, how does it affect? Angry, it seems very simple, but you realize that there's lots of different connection within it. And once you have finished it, okay, there's one clause in here that you might actually not know in Chinese. I will have to translate it. You do not need to reveal all your most private confidential data. Like, for example, I realized that I'm in love and I might like someone, like, for example, Kathy, for example. And then Kathy is like coughing out water, for example. You do not need to share that. Okay, you do not need to share that because it's more of your confidentiality. It's just more about your evaluations, your true feelings. You can talk about one thing that you feel comfortable with. Okay, so this is more like your comfort level and the amount of information that you want to express through your emotions. So there's no need to spread all your internal secrets. It's not a secret test. Now, once you finish it, make sure to let your VPE signed at the end to certify that you've completed this because you need to upload it on your Basecamp e-portfolio. Now, going downwards, as usual, you have the evaluation forms. In English, please refer to our previous videos. Before that, there is a before survey and after survey. And I highly recommend that this project, if you fail to do all your before surveys, which you still need to do somehow, do this one. This one actually allows you to really evaluate a lot of factors within your own spiritual mentality sense. So this is the most effective way of seeing the before and after experience. Now going downwards, in here, I'm trying to translate this 5 sentences to you. First of all, understanding human emotions and what are the key components of it. Face and embrace your emotions. Frankly, like really embraced it. Your emotions are not your enemies. They are just one way to express your feelings to connect with others. There are lots of us who fail to embrace our emotions. I myself is still one person that's still learning. Sometimes I feel very angry. I cannot control it sometimes. But this is more like a reflective test. And how do we express our emotions in an appropriate way? This is not the way about correctness. This is more about appropriateness. And then also understand one thing that I think is really important, empathy. Now, in Toastmasters, we actually focus on leadership skills, and one of the components within it is really about empathy to others. And this actually focus enhance more on that part. Now, in this manual itself, it talks about the importance of emotional intelligence. Try to read the manual in English versions because today we are in the English class, but this one, my manual is in Mandarin. So have a look. The point of the whole focus is that if you have bigger and stronger EQ, you're able to handle stress, you're able to be more positive, not depressing, you'll not be so negative and thinking from a different way. And it's more focusing on building positive relations and positive connection with people. Helps a lot in public speaking. It also allows you to create lots of imaginary ideas because creativity actually comes from positive attitude. If you are from negative, your ideas are all going downwards. It doesn't come out. And you need that for table topics. Why do I actually talk about table topics? Because you need a lot of different images, pictures, ideas that spice up the whole thing. And if you have a positive attitude, that actually helps you to enhance that skill set. Now, in here, it actually focus on letting us understand our basic emotions, such as, for example, fear, sadness, surprised, or even happy. So there are different things that are involved in it. And what happens if you feel frightened? What happens if you feel? It's really about a reflective journal. Treat it as a journal. Try to know yourself more. There are lots of us who think that we know ourselves a lot, but sometimes we prove ourselves wrong when we do this exercise. Try it. I highly recommend that. And then also understand our secondary emotions. This is called in Mandarin, it's like 次要, it means secondary. Now, secondary wise, it focuses on different things like angry, sad, disappointment, humor stuff. Now, why do I actually talk about the basic and the secondary? Because these two usually collide with each other. Sometimes we may feel frightened, but what actually drives your frightenness? Your aspects of being frightened. That could be a very core component of it. Okay. Is in another words, it's called feelings within feelings. That's what people do in some NLP programs or like other emotional tasks that we try to dig up your inner feelings more. And this is a good practice. I think this is like worth like a $9,000 RMB cost, or like really expensive one. So you are a Toastmaster, you're free, you can use it. Also, bring your self-awareness. It brings a lot of different elements in play. Self-awareness actually plays a lot part about emotions. How do you understand your emotions? How do you provide and increase your self-awareness? It's one of the elements in play, because sometimes in public speaking, I'm not even talking about leadership, public speaking wise, sometimes we may dazzle the crowd, but then at one moment, if you're very experienced, at one moment you realize, why am I on this stage? Yes, there's a sudden realization of that. And that's not bad. This is like a way whereby you're re-evaluating yourself periodically. And I see lots of people being very happy. I feel happy. I want to understand why I feel happy, because I'm being recognized, or am I being proud of this moment? So understand your true feelings within it yourself. This is like a slight addition to a level 2 about understanding yourself more. This is more like the advanced skills of level 2. I'm not saying level 2 and level 3, there are like different hierarchies, because level 1 to level 3 is focusing on 3 different sets. But this is like an advancement of a proper level 2 components. Okay. Because in level 1, it's really about testing your stage, experiencing the benefits of evaluation, listening skills, etc. Level 2 is about understanding yourself. Level 3 is more like techniques. But this technically is not really too much of a technique. It's more about your self-understanding. So that's why I say it's an advancement of understanding yourself. Now, it also tells you how to adjust. To us, speakers do need to learn these skills. Have a look. There are some video clips for you to go for in this online, and also some manuals, and also some sort of exercise for you to do. Now, I wouldn't say those manuals, the exercise with it, are very useful. For me, the one way that I think is very useful on that is, other than writing your journals, is to really see. Okay, I'm going to tell you, see and observe the people around you. Like, have you embraced the moment whereby your family quarrel over a trip to somewhere else? Or maybe like talking about what food you want to go for. You can see some couples quarreling on the streets. Observe. Now observe, if you're standing from a third person perspective, what do you understand from it? And if you were one of them, one of the parties, how would you adjust it? And I'm using a bit of psychology as well in this segment, because this is more related to psychology in some way. Have a look and then try to identify your basic feelings and your secondary feelings. This is quite a nice reflections. Empathy, it talks quite a lot about empathy. Have a look about that. It talks about how you really fit into people's shoe, how to try to understand the emotional sense. Like, if you're talking about a very emotional story, I've seen speakers who talk about emotional stories like, I feel so sad. And then the audience like, I don't feel that. Now, why? It's not because they don't practice empathy. It's maybe you haven't had involved or put yourself in that shoe first to let people feel your feelings.
Right.
Okay. Now, also predict your expectation or requirements, because usually it actually here talks about a bit of leadership already. It says successful leaders can foresee and recognize people's needs and satisfy their needs. So some of them are practical, some of them are more emotional based, some of them are not visible. Yeah, you have to take it out. It's just like in any teams. As a leader, I usually check on my friends and how they go, or teammates, how are you doing? If they are feeling unhappy, like, how are you feeling today? I noticed you are not too happy. Are you okay? And this is building on your communication. In public speaking, we focus in Toastmaster, I was saying, public speaking and leadership skills are really important. One more additional element is communication skills. Now, this actually focuses on all these three together. You try to understand, build that network, etc., and you can bond with them. Sometimes a simple hi or simple greetings occur at the right moment is way better than adding too much feelings at one spot.
Mm.
Now here it actually talks about motivation in a more technical sense, because remember what this path is about. If you recall in the chat box, it's called motivational strategy. So definitely there are some motivational elements. Now, if you notice that motivation is linked with emotions in here. So that's why I find it really, really beneficial that you can train yourself on how do you motivate others. It says there's an intrinsic and there's an extrinsic. Now, extrinsic can be some stuff like those people who are life coach or like those kind of mentors. They're actually trying to cultivate your intrinsic motivation and trying to motivate outside by guiding you right. Some of them actually think about money as one of the things. I'm not saying that Toastmasters promote money, but some remember when we are young. If you imagine yourself when we are young, I myself was young before, and my mom wants me to do something, and then I actually get A's in my grades, then there was a $100 motivational money, ang pao money, which is extra money for me to buy toys. So this is like more like extrinsic motivation, but it doesn't last long. What lasts long is just like Toastmasters, where leaders make the spirit. It's actually from our within. Now we want to actually focus on those elements. In here, you actually focus on leadership components more because you want to guide them more. Because you are the role model. Now moving on. You actually focus on communication, networking. It does so take some time to read it because it requires you to read more than 2 to 3 times. Why do I say requires? It doesn't say it's a must, because this requires deeper understanding. Okay, this manual is requiring more deep understanding on this. It's not that simple. Increasing your emotional intelligence. One of them is actually through this exercise that you're doing in this manual, the reflective journal, the self-reflection journey. Now, in this way, you can truly understand yourself more. Don't always assume that you know that you're right, or you know your feelings. No, try it. At least I can assure you that the results may be different. Now, when I say assure you may be different is that if you know yourself really, really, really well, it means that you have been evaluating yourself for a long, long time, like me. I always evaluate myself throughout this many, many years of journey. Same thing if you haven't evaluated too much of the time. Like for example, now I'm actually pretty lost. I actually have to ask other people to try all this kind of like perfumes to try out, to test my emotions where it is. Same thing. I need to stop and have a break, reevaluate myself. Know your response. Know how it goes. Once you know your response, at least you can gauge yourself where you go. And finally, notice your challenges, the response, the reasons. There are lots of different things. Really try the exercises, or at least try to understand, reflect on one incident that makes you angry, sad, disappointed, or frightened. This few incidents allows you to trigger those emotions and why you feel that. Try to find a reason. Why? Like, why am I frightened about cats? Oh, because in the past, I was very naughty and I simply just love to play with the cats. In the past, I would just like use a wooden stick, like, come here and play. You know, those where you actually provoke people and provoke someone with a burning point. Like, I was provoking the cat and it was like, the cat was like, meow, meow. And after which, when I provoke a lot, meow, meow. And then after which it chased me at least for 20, no, not 20 meters, at least like a 200-meter race. That cat chased me for 200 meters. I have to run behind my dad to avoid that cat from scratching me. Now, same thing. I might be frightened because of one. Now, discover your own journey of emotions. Now you have to do a report after that, okay?
All
And
right.
my friend was looking at me, don't know what I'm doing right now.
Aaron, it's
So
been
yeah,
15 minutes, so maybe close.
I will try to highlight it at the end. I'll give me 1 more minute just to wrap up. So in order to control your emotions, if you feel that you cannot control emotions, relax, distract, or focus on your breathing. The meditation wise, the Indian meditation you can try. I'm not really promoting that, but yoga, meditation, it does work. Or focus on something that you like. For me, whatever actually adjusts my emotion is eating sushi. So I distract myself from food. Now, there are lots of things, re-evaluation. The whole part is about evaluation yourself and how you can adjust it. Find a better way, refine it. At the end, you will have something like this, which is called project completion form. Sign it with your VPE and then your signature, etc. Done. In this evaluation form, remember, talk to your evaluator. Let them know that you have that 2 weeks report. Let them see. Okay, let them see. If they don't see it, then basically they're evaluating you based on your performance. So that's all for the evaluation, the analysis for emotional intelligence. The reason why we have to talk about this is because it affects the next project I'm going to talk about. I'll pass the stage back to Sandy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the project analysis of the knowing and understanding the emotional intelligence from the motivational strategy. So this is actually important and for me, and it's critical for us because if we cannot control our emotion, basically we won't succeed and we will move in our real world. Now we will have a demo speech that is come from the beautiful country from Singapore, and also she's a trio from District 80 in Singapore, and she's going to talk about new dawn of a new era. And she's currently CGD Club Growth Director of Singapore. So let's welcome Kathy. Kathy is going to talk about new dawn of a new era. Thank you, Brent. Let's welcome Kathy.
Thank you. Can I just test if you can hear me clearly? Is there any background noise behind?
No, very good.
Cannot hear? Not very
Yes.
good?
Good, very good.
Okay, all right. Well, Toastmasters, today I'm sharing with you what I've been through for the past almost 1 year. As Sandy has just introduced, I am the current CGD of District 80. But before that, I was the Division L Director in Singapore. Division L in Singapore is one of the Mandarin division. And one of our biggest highlights of the year, besides the usual contest, will be our Lunar New Year gathering dinner. And this is a major event that really unites all the Mandarin-speaking Toastmasters within Singapore, and also we invited fellow Toastmasters from Malaysia and Indonesia to join us in this night of celebration. Now, since I joined in 2013, this Lunar New Year celebration is just like any other dinner whereby we just mingle and get to know fellow Toastmasters from overseas, even in Singapore. It doesn't really mean much to me. It's just a night of drinking and make fun, be merry. But this recent Lunar New Year festival, it actually brought a whole lot of events that make me look into what makes me me and how my action actually affects the others. Because being a division director, we will assign this gathering to one of our area directors as the organizing chair to hold this event. And basically, we just serve as an advisor while they run through the entire organizing from scratch, from finding a restaurant to inviting people, getting all the logistics, and organizing all the programs, performance. But this year, COVID strikes. The question that lingers in our mind is, do we proceed on with this celebration? Because this is a ticketed event, so that it's a self-funded event. Do we proceed? Or are we going to refund our members? How are we going to handle all the vendors, all the deposit, all the payments? Are we going to forfeit all these deposits? Do we really want to risk our lives and to make this event just go on with the event? What should we do? Now, my entire organizing team looks towards our organizing chair, and she looks towards me. Do we proceed? And that is when I came in and say, yes, let us proceed. We just need someone that's firm to say to proceed. The whole team will just put their mind back in motion, and we put our heart into making this event success. But along the way, something else cropped up. The COVID situation is getting even more bad. The restaurants is telling us that we have to restrict on the participants, do temperature screening, everything. So we are at a loss trying to get everything, all the logistics in place, just to make sure that this event can go through. There are moments whereby the team feels very disheartened because of this latest change. But as a leader, what we need to do is put our brave front. There's nothing that we cannot overcome as long as we work as a team. And if that's the message that's being very clear to them, then they will believe in us. Through this entire journey, I start to learn how to rely on others. I start to learn how to seek help from those around me and not just doing it alone, because I can never shoulder this on my own. There are always resources around us. There's always people around us that's willing to support. If we reach out to them, if we make the first move, if we ask, help will come. Support they render, and all these things we will surely overcome. Human nature is always that we have this ability to adapt. We have this ability to change. It's just that we never bother to do it because we don't want to change. But by taking the first step of breathing through, there's nothing that will stop us. Through this entire episode, it takes more than 2 weeks. It's 2 months. In fact, it is starting from July 2019 when I first took on the leadership. We planned for this event. We planned for 6 months. And 6 months down the road, I did not regret making the decision to go ahead with this event. I can only say that it's very lucky that we did not have any case of COVID spread among the participants for this event. We are very lucky. But this is an experience that we'll never forget. This is something that we will cherish because through this, we see the bond and strengthen the bond. And actually makes everyone closer than before because it is something that we will always cherish. And this is something that we hope we can meet again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank Kathy, especially deliver the speech. It a very good speech from the knowing the emotional intelligence. Now, other than the demo speech, we will have evaluator to give us an overall feedback about Cassie's speech. We are really lucky to invite the seasoned Toastmaster from Hong Kong. She's very experienced in evaluation, and she also give a high quality evaluation. Let's welcome Angela Lee to evaluate Cassie's speech. Angela.
Hello, good evening, fellow members, ladies and gentlemen, especially to Kathy. Kathy, I liked your speech because you tell us how you are going to face the COVID-19 and how you are going to celebrate in your club, inviting members from Singapore and Malaysia to celebrate the dinner together. But due to the COVID, you have to cancel it because of the restriction of members from the restaurant and everything. Also, this is a very simple line that we all know about it. But this project is going to show your emotional so that we know that you have the motivation strategy to emotional understanding, emotional intelligence. Perhaps you could show us when you first started the year lunch gathering, all the members, including you, are very excited, joyful, and you can show your happy face to all of us because we have a project that we used to do. I think it is not very difficult. But something happened along the way, COVID-19. That is, we human beings cannot control it. It seems it is a sign that we will never expect it because life is unexpected and unpredictable. But you have to accept it. It is not our human being can control it. So show us the emotion from a very high happy to the down, very unhappy, sadness, and then to the normal state because you accept this is the way we have to face it. So you have to show us because you have to understand the emotional intelligence because you only describe the members, they are, or I think it is a sort of a normal speech of the opening body confusion. But this project focuses mostly on the emotional level, the primary emotional and the secondary emotion, and you can relate together. And I didn't see your face because you wear a mask. But now you didn't wear a mask. I don't know why. Because because if you wear a mask, I couldn't see your big smile or you are very sad. I can only see from your eyes. But the emotion doesn't show very very big. You can't distinguish much. Perhaps you can focus this more. When you are talking a deliberate speech, making sure that your tone, your voice, your volume, have the vocal variety, sometimes stay, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. The opening, after the opening, you can have pauses. After the body of the speech, you can have pauses. So that the members and the guests can digest what you are going to say. Because of course you are very familiar with your story, with everything, but we are the strangers, we don't know. So we have to listen for this. So I thought you are very good fluent. Your English is fluent and everything is okay. And if you have time, focus some of your hand gestures or body language or your eye contact, or you look sad, happy, surprised, and very not very happy about this ending. So the most important thing is to have your self-regulation. How are you going to solve it? Because how you regulate your temper so that you can help the members not so sad or something like that. So I think all in all, thank you for your sharing. And yeah, this is my evaluation.
Thank you. Thank you, Angela. Thank you.
Sometimes there is no COVID-19, we will not be able to see each other online. So although there is a lots of downsides from COVID-19, but this is also another way for us to see the world. For example, I am able to see four people from 4 different districts right now, COVID-19. So far we have witnessed project analysis and then demo speech and evaluation. So now we'll move on to discussion section. It's no more just listening. No, that's not the way adults learn things. We learn best when we get involved in discussion. We will move on to 10 to 15 minutes discussion section, and we will have a very experienced Toastmaster, and he's very good at leading discussion. As the project go, I'm very confident he could handle this very well. So let's welcome the discussion master, panel moderator, Mr. Su. Let's welcome Mr. Su, discussion master.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jiwa So, okay, a Singaporean, but a member of District 118 and a branch chair. And I finished most at MS, and I think this is one of the most kind of challenging project, because you need to show emotion, that emotion changes and whatnot. And we had seen Kathy trying out with the mask on and try to show emotion. It's a challenge, okay, to show that with your mask on. And I have one question for every one of you, especially in COVID-19, and how do we really express ourselves over the internet? Have you tried the challenges? How come we cannot express ourselves accurately, just like Angela Lee have said that we need to? Do you have any suggestions? Anyone have any suggestion that we can project that emotional feeling of us out? May I ask maybe Douglas, Lisa, have you ever done this? Have you ever tried or any failure trying to do this? Douglas, Lisa?
Douglas, will you unmute your mics? We can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm Lisa.
Lisa,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
Lisa.
And I was eating my dinner, so sorry,
Okay.
I was not listening carefully.
Okay, so
what?
Okay. What have you facing challenges doing kind of expressing your emotion over the internet?
Yeah, I think it's very different when you are in the internet. I prefer a person in person, and so I feel that I only have my head without the body, and so it's a bit hard when you really physically having a meeting. And I think it's much easier to express your emotion because your body language and your hands gesture, everything it counts is showing your emotion too. So and also, and especially my screen is not very clear, and I don't know why, and so it's making it much more difficult to show my emotion in the internet. So that's my that's my opinion. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. And it is not just you. I think it's every one of us is facing this challenge and of trying to express our emotional being and out to the people. Okay, but we have heard Kathy talk about she called for help. Okay, finally she called for help, and after that, then the groups responded That is the call expression. And maybe if I'm a care team for myself, I said, you know, when I face the direction, myself call it out, help! I need help. I was in the downturn. I need help. It was, fortunately, my team was there. And that's the way we talk. That was a 180-degree turn. I think we need to do that. It's not easy, but for me, it's natural. And I can tell you I'm the best body language speaker. I can really express myself. You can ask Sandy, right? Sandy? And doing that, okay, how much do we spend time? I'm going to ask, how much do we spend our time, I say preparing, especially this type of topics? Do we spend much time in front of the mirrors or in front of this? Or have you done that? May I ask Sunny Hugh Sun, if you can, how much time have you put on, especially for tough project like this? Sunny, can you unmute yourself? Okay, I think Sunny is not hearing. I count 2, 3, 4. Okay, Jenny, are you there?
But I've not done motivational strategies. I'm just here.
About other related kind of, you really put up yourself in the, I mean, you need to show emotion. Do you do much of a practice, and how much do you evaluate yourself?
I think it's practice, observing how others do it. And I mean, you have to push yourself to say that, okay, although you're speaking in front of a laptop, you have to use a lot of imagination. Somebody is not there, really pay attention. And I think if you give that kind of commitment, and I would say, you know, real, true, assuming that you're really like in a physical place, I think people still can get connected with you. It's all about your internal emotions. Through links, yeah. So if you are thinking nobody's watching me, I'm just going to give me my 30%, you know, I'm just going to read out from the script. I think I acknowledge that a lot of people read out from the script, okay? And they don't take it as that, oh, you know, I'm going to do a speech. So they have their speech next to it, on top of it, and then they are reading from the script. So when you're reading from the script, because now you are sitting in front of a laptop, the more you actually make it assess that you don't read with, you're not doing a speech, you're reading a speech. So your emotion is really not there. So probably you feel also demoralized because I don't even know how people.
Yes, I agree. Okay, thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Jenny. I think many of our Toastmasters, because they need to finish a project, they finish a project, so they do it in a way that is haphazardly. I think our preparation is very important. Okay, like yesterday I did my project number 2 in talking about how to express my emotion. Okay, understanding another culture. So I really exaggerate myself, and actually the whole congregation and the whole audience laugh with me. Exaggerate myself. My expression when I was like, then you look at me. Wow, they really look at me, and that is a very important point that we need to do. It's not easy though, because when speaking in front of this, because this year our competition, the public speaking competition will be over the internet. So it's very important that we start from now, and I hope every one of us will try to do. And today we have seen you call it understanding emotional intelligence. Okay, understanding emotional intelligence, and it's as Aaron had said, is between speaking and communication and leadership. Okay, how to lead people into your emotion or your speech. Okay, can you bring them out to go with you and go with you or empathize with you? So I think it's not easy, but it's a good challenge. Okay, it's a good challenge, and I love Kathy's title. The title. Okay, if you look at the project, if I'm not wrong, the title means a lot. Your title, a new dawn of a new era. Okay, and that's very important. A new dawn. So that's a new change in a new era. Yeah, and that's very important. And if only your conclusion, if I add into Angela's, your conclusion must have very clearly on that. A new dawn, a new one, a new me with a new team. Though we are old team, that one you can catch the heart. So it's the best way to try to get that. Okay. And the other one, and the last question I would ask is ask Sandy. Okay. How do you can you easily empathize? Okay, with when you prepare a speech, can you get people to empathize with you? How do you show that to people?
Thank you very much. This is a very deep question, and it's actually hard to answer. If I understood Mr. Su correctly, you said if I were be able to drive people when I was deliver speech, right? If this is your
Yes.
question. Okay. Frankly speaking, I think I can. I think I can do it by one strategy from Aaron. He said that I am I am able to drive people when I only talk about the things that I like. And why I say about this? Because this is my 11th years in Toastmaster. And 3 months ago when I delivered and rehearsed my first online speech in front of Aaron, I talk about myself as an icebreaker. And when he listened, he started to laugh. Why I say he started to laugh? Because it was boring and it was irrelevant to him. And it was his first time to listen to my speech online. And I couldn't catch his attention. So he wanted to help me to keep people understand me and to be influenced by my emotion. So he asked me this question. He asked me, direct quote would be, Sandy, what do you like? And I told him, or I like piano, I like swimming, well, I like to take photos. And then Aaron told me, pick one and then make that into a speech. So, and my second speech in level 1, I talk about the things I like. I choose piano. So when I talk about my own story with piano is the interest that I like, and I like it very much. So when I talk about my own story, the first version, Aaron listened. Although he cannot really play musical instrument, but he could totally relate to why I love and why I miss my own musical instrument. So in order to answer Mr. Su's question, I wasn't able to drive people to listen to me and influence them with my own emotion until I was true to myself. I revealed the things that I have an interest. When I have an interest, my facial expression and also my eyes and my body gesture will feel that I'm happy and I'm energetic toward that. So that kind of emotion that is transmit and influence immediately Angela or inference to Jenny immediately. Although they might not understand why I love my musical instrument, but they could feel this kind of love. So I believe this is very true. If I do love something, and then I could drive my audience. So this is my question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very true. To really want to show emotion and that people empathize or sympathize with you, you need to be your true self. Okay, in a way, and I've told many of the new Toastmasters, I say you look out there, the audience is your brother and sisters. They know they are there to hear you. Speak your heart out and you show yourself. And most of them are doing well in that. So there is that's why when I will end up with give you a picture. Maybe we can see hopefully. Okay. Basic and secondary. I have this little picture, if you all can see. Okay. You look at this picture, okay. The bottom is your basic, your main emotional situation. And just now, what Aaron has said, okay, we must have reflective journal. We know yourself. There's the part where we have basic or your own personal, normal emotion. And whenever you are angry, you have secondary emotion that press up. Okay, you say it's floating in the water. People seeing that emotion, they reflect you. You are reflecting this to the people, but actually you must try to reflect yourself bottom part to the people. It's not easy because if the water is lower, you can see more. You can see more of yourself. So it is a kind of trying to speak up in this type of situation. Be emotionally intelligent, but push it up, your emotion up further, and let people see your heart. And that's more important. I know it's not easy, but it is a challenge. So that's why I think this project, you need to take at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks to really finish off and really realize yourself, and you push it better. Anyway, so and again, we are so thankful to Kathy for his story about the COVID-19. I think it could affect us till next year, right? Maybe next year, maybe next July, next, and you'll be all the time. Will be on. Okay. Back to your host. Back to the host. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If I do understand the objective of this project, well, for me, my understanding would be we are smart, but we have different levels of smart. For example, academic smart, street smart, and smart enough to control our emotion. And there are different types of emotion in our life. And positive one, like happy, excitement. I don't think we need to control that. But I do think we need to control about negative emotion. Hate, sad, passiveness, or hate. Well, those kind of negative emotion we need to control. So when we think about the topic, understanding emotional intelligence, where for me would be dealing with the negative emotion and control them with a smart way. So from the project analysis, from the suggestion from the Toastmaster International, from the pathway, I noticed that they list a different way to dealing with our emotion. And then followed by our demo speech, we witnessed that CGD was thinking about, and also we knew that there was problem that CGD could not really handle, but there was living story from her. And as adults, I believe we all learn from the obstacles, and we learn best when we beat them. we learn best when we are able to control them. And being a leader in Toastmaster and also in our daily life, we're dealing with difficulties, conflicts all the time. I don't believe that we all host a positive attitude and positive emotion towards everything. No. For example, no, I don't believe so. Even for CGD or trio, or even just for me as the training host, I had a different emotions when I was hosting this training. For example, the negative emotion right now for me would be anxiety, for uncertainty. Well, I would like to mention this directly to most people because I actually type in a checkbox. Yes, finally he was here. The anxiety and uncertainty for me would be, I wasn't so sure when he's back, although I double checked with him. I actually suggested him to use his smartphone to do the project analysis. He turned me down. So I would like to say my negative emotion, I control that without keeping this training flow. I mean, actually, there's a possibility for me to actually talk more about this, because in our daily life, I believe that we're dealing with emotions all the time. And if we don't manage our emotion, I mean, manage the difficulties in handling the negative emotion, then we won't be able to survive. And now I just received a private message, and I wasn't so sure how I'm going to reveal this to you, because this might affect the training quality. So
have faith
okay.
in Aaron.
So Aaron sent me signal. Aaron, just don't send me signal. Send message to all the people. So from now on, Aaron, unmute yourself, because he sent me private message. He has a poor quality to access to the internet and to the Zoom, and poor network issue. We hope that he could unmute himself, that at least we we are able to listen to him. Aaron, you have to unmute yourself, otherwise nobody could hear you. Okay, now, I'm going to move on to the second session. Hopefully I demonstrate how I control my negative emotion during this entire training successfully.
We should have changed the project.
Yeah!
We should change the project.
When you work with a really flexible trainer that was traveling from Hong Kong to China, and I was basically in Taiwan, and I'm talking to people from Singapore, and people live in Singapore but moved to China, and also people was from different countries, you know that I'm really flexible, I'm really controllable in front of Aaron, that he trained me very well. This is actually a conflict I'm going to talk about. There's a lot of conflict going on between us. We are going to move on to the second part. We don't do any motivational strategy right now. We move on to conflict. The second part is about persuasive inference, PI. Persuasive inference path, and then the project is about understanding conflict resolution. It's a conflict and it's understanding, and it's about resolve it. And roughly introduction of our trainer, it would be, well, I think he's a special talent to make everything in a simple way. Well, I always said that I was only able to listen to his training, and then after his training about analysis, I will understand how to execute a project. So that's why I really stick with him with all the project analysis. So without further introduction, let's welcome our trainer back to do the project analysis of understanding the conflict resolution. So yeah, where Aaron, yay. 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you.
I understand that it's pretty shattered. So I should start. I understand it's really of a conflict because I'm actually surrounded in the bus, and you can see that I'm actually really squeezing myself in one corner just to do this training, the elements of understanding those conflicts, right? So may I ask, Everyone, do you know which path does it belong to? Please type in the chat box to help me make a better choice. So where does this project come from? Can you type in the answer? It should be very easy if you actually know which path it's from.
Persuasive, PI.
Thank you. You'll be seeing a very dark piece. I'm going to share the screen. So related to this one, there is a reason why I have to talk about emotional intelligence first, emotional wise, because you have to understand yourself, your emotions, and how we actually relate. It actually relates to this one, which is called the conflict resolution, because people do have issues, sometimes it's because of rational self, or sometimes because of emotional self. So that's why it's also important to put this side by side. The first part, understand your own emotions and how it relates to people. Now is the point whereby we want to do the solution based of how to resolve conflicts. And most of the conflicts, according to statistics, is actually originated from emotions. Now, if you notice those people who quarrel on the streets because of couples quarreling or maybe family quarreling, emotions comes first. And we want to relate them and direct them to the rational self. So that's why we are doing this. And you'll be seeing that this is actually in the traditional Chinese manual, because I did this in a traditional manual path, traditional Chinese manual path. So I apologize. I will do the translation as well. Everyone still hear me? If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up. Thank you. I'm in a very, very bad situation here, but I'm still doing my training. Don't worry. It's delegation. Now, in this project itself, if you notice here, it says that this one allows you to understand and cultivate or strengthen your conflict resolution skills. And how do you plan to solve conflicts? Okay, you have to understand the whole procedure. So this one, you have to prepare 5 to 7 minute speech involving discussion of how do you solve your conflicts, what sort of steps are you preparing. And in this manual, you will learn a basic few steps of how to solve any. There's always no fixed method of solving conflicts. This manual is just serving as a guideline. Okay, so if you are wanting to have a basic elements, have a look at this manual. It solves most of the common ones, but in depth for more difficult ones, please try to review and refine your techniques more. Get a lot of honest feedbacks. Then it will help you so much more. Now, here it actually relates that you have to discuss how you handle conflict resolution. How do you have to plan to be more effective, the effectiveness on solving this conflict? And also, how do you demonstrate your qualities? I will explain more on the qualities part in this conflict resolution. You can do it in any way to do the speech, because it's more like a reflective journal as well, but this time it's more on a speech base, not on a journal base. Now looking downwards, same thing, do the before and after survey is very important, Toastmaster stuff. I repeated at least 10 to 15 times already on this one, so I'll just skip this part. Now in this one, it focuses on how do you differentiate and also illustration on how to solve conflicts. You actually study in these manuals. Have a look at the Basecamp. If you're using English one, you can have a look at that. It also helps you to understand other people's views, showing respect. It's just like Toastmasters, whereby integrity, respect, service, excellence. You have to understand and respect people's opinions, because if you don't recognize their opinions, they will keep on quarreling with you because you don't stand for their issue. It's a bit of empathy too. That's the reason why we talk about emotional intelligence. Okay, this is one point that I think is really, really useful, that sometimes I try to solve a problem, but it's at the wrong time. Like I remember someone actually tried to solve a problem when I was in the restroom. In the restroom, they knocked onto the door, and they was like, Aaron, we have to talk. It's like, is this a good time? This is not a good time to solve the problem. Pick the right timing. There is always a right time and a right place to solve problems. And also do a proactive listening skills. Now, in this part, you will also understand that another project which is called active listening. There's one project called active listening that will be very useful to supplement
Yes,
this
listen
project.
more.
Because active listening is whereby you test your listening skills and relates back, creating understanding to resolve problems. Now, moving downwards, conflict resolutions. To me, conflicts is a very good thing. Now, there's always some things whereby conflicts can be very bad if it's getting out of control. Now, but when we're talking about conflicts is a good thing, it's a good learning opportunity for yourself and for others. There's a saying, if there is a perfect marriage, the perfect marriage is one whereby they quarrel until they stop quarreling. Because if they quarrel, they care. If they don't quarrel, they don't care anymore. They die. The relationship dies. So quarreling is kind of good in some way to get the better understanding of each other and also improving the cooperation. Very practical in any working conditions, even professional sense. Also understand where you step in. It's very important to know where you step in. This manual actually says quite a lot of basic stuff too. Understanding what the resolution or what the conflict is, what stops the project from going on, and how to prevent it from the future basis. It says that if a teamwork that there's conflict resolution is between two members or above. So it doesn't take one to make a quarrel or conflict. There has to be two. Okay. Now, for example, if I see Kathy eating a lot of banana chews, I don't know what she's eating, and I'm not happy with her, I may be like feeling a bit unhappy, but she's fine with it, right? So does that mean I'm having a conflict? No, I'm having an emotional conflict with myself. There's a difference, okay? Now, in here it says conflicts can be triggered by 4 different main points. One, misunderstanding. Yes, I remember when I was young, I have a conflict with a very good friend of mine because he was trying to snatch my girl away. Yes, it's a really big conflict, and we had a big fight. Real fight, punching and kicking. Okay, it doesn't mean verbally. And we guys are very stupid because, for me, I am very stupid because I fight over a girl, and that's not really worth it, right? So conflicts do happen, and it may involve violence in the future, but try to prevent it and step in the Toastmasters, right? Okay, conflicts, we're all rational self, we're all adults, make it work, okay? Don't get drunk. Now, there's a second way whereby different approaches, mentality-wise, your way of doing things may create conflict, like trust issues, or maybe like your way, like for example, now I'm in China. Now in China-wise, if I'm in Hong Kong, I'm still fine. I can be very internationalized, but if I'm going to China, there are different ways of approach that the Chinese people will actually go for, and you will provoke them in a different way. That is a very negative sense. Like they prefer lots of praises. Now in Hong Kong, I'm not used to praises. I prefer direct string approach. Now that may actually create a kind of way of doing things that may involve conflicts. Why do you have to discuss rational stuff? Sometimes it may be different perspective. Let's say, for example, I once have an issue with conflicts that I believe members first in Toastmasters. Okay, I believe that it's members first. That's another member saying that no, it's not. It's leaders first, because it's where leaders are made. So leaders are always the most supreme ones to take care of. Now there is a difference between my perspective and someone else's perspective. So how do we resolve that? How do we resolve that conflict? It is through discussion, understanding. Why do you stand from there? Is there a reason why, etc.? So try to find a reason. It's more like if we talk about the first project that I've discussed today, it's more emotional sense. This is more rational sense. It also because of situational basis. like for example, recently I've encountered fake Toastmasters. Now I'm using it as a real life situation whereby people want to use fake Toastmasters to make a business out of public speaking. Now, the thing is, people have their own understanding of a business perspective. Now, it's whereby this situation creates tension and conflicts. Do we stand from their shoe to understand where the problem go wrong? And can we understand and find a win-win situation between them? If you're not understanding what the win-win situation is, we refer back to the previous videos that we talk about win-win situations. Okay. Now moving on, how do you resolve it? It can be very simple. One of the most obvious way is identify the problem. Okay, why does this problem makes you feel so unhappy? Why do you feel so? Because, like for example, there are people saying that I'm very blunt. I'm very blunt in the way I'm speaking, etc. Now, people don't like bluntness sometimes, and there's conflict. Like, why do you have to be so blunt? There's no need to. Now, for me, because when I was young, I was bullied. Now, because I believe the voice of everyone is very important, so I stand on being blunt and direct because I do not want my voice not to be heard. That is a reason. Now, we always have to find the reasons of what people think. Same thing. So when you understand how to the problems with it, then listen. Now, why do we actually have to put on the listening skills as one of the key factors in this manual? Is because when we talk about listening skills, sorry, I'm not arrested, or you see some purple color is still fine, okay? So listening skills really builds that connection. It's just like when you talk, you want people to listen to you, respect you, and not playing their phones, etc. So when you listen, try to ask, like, find the common goals, find the common mutual points or respect points. Understand there is differences to understanding. There's always a phrase that I always use for conflict resolution. Let's agree to disagree. Because through every disagreement lies a potential opportunity. Very important. Try to let them hear. There's one technique that people use for corrections of mentality. When people are speaking, so they will encourage the use of I instead of using we. Now, the reason why is very simple, because we is like representing everyone else. You don't represent people's feelings or thoughts. You are standing from your I perspective. Now, in Toastmasters, we always focus on we all do this, we all do collaborative, but here it's about you. Okay, it's about you. Want to know why you feel so unhappy about? Where is there conflicts that actually happen? Now, looking words. So here you actually talk about dispute resolutions on how do you think about brainstorming different ideas and approach whereby both parties feel comfortable. It actually specifically says that you have to make the results comfortable and satisfy both parties. Okay. Satisfied. I would say, honestly, satisfied. It would say that people are okay with it. I think it's really acceptable. It's really fine. So that's what we talk about conflict resolution, whereby we find a win-win situation on it. It's different from you are forced to. In here, we are trying to let everyone walk up with a very good feeling and good solution out there. Here, it also talks about empathy. Tony, it means empathy. So empathy-wise, fit into different perspective. Don't stand from just your own perspective. Stand from people's shoes. Finally, as you know, there's a difference between you must get a good result and you could get a good result. The conflict resolution practice here is focusing on the elements that we want to achieve that, but it's not always successful the first try that you do. Now we want you to grow from this experience of trying, and that's the purpose of this manual. No matter whether you're successful or fail, it's still an attempt. If you guys cannot hear me in the middle, please give me a thumbs up or something, because I want to hear, at least if you can still hear me, give me a thumbs up so I can keep on doing it. Otherwise, I thought that my connection breaks down. Thank you. Give me a thumbs up. It's really because I can barely see you guys in the dark. So I'm doing a speech in the dark.
Okay.
Now, here, remember, if you see this sign, let me highlight this sign for you. If you see this sign in every menu, it's usually talking about the video. Have a look.
Đó. 哥哥应该是不会去的啦。Do you tell him what time? You must tell him in advance.
The video clip allows you to have better understanding of the entire. Okay. Okay. Since that this one, thank you. If you can hear me, thank you. It's a bit laggy.
All right.
So in here it says that you notice that this menu. You will notice that in this menu itself is shorter than the previous menu that I was talking about. Why? It's because this is more for two people. It's about you understand yourself and you understand people's faults and win-win situation. Okay. Now in here, that's why it says reflect and apply. Why do I have to stress this part over anything else in this menu? It's because there are 4 questions that you have to solve in doing this one. 4 different menus, 4 questions. In which aspect can you demonstrate conflict resolution techniques? Have you tried any techniques that solve it, or at least any attempts, and tell me the results? Now, then through this conflict resolution, have you tried empathy? Okay. And finally, the last one is, when is the right timing? As I reflect earlier on, is there a right timing for everything? Yes, there is. Now, finally, the last one is, when you finish this, there is also a reference. Also, remember there is a checklist as well. So same thing. So checklist here, it says 5 to 7 minutes. And it's actually pretty nice to try it out. Because this is actually a very unique project among all the projects, because you can do it in a video clip. Now, many people do not know this factor. Okay? You can do it in a video clip about the actual situations. Now, how do I do this video clip? Is that I find a person that has a dispute with me, conflicts with me. We fought it out. I mean, like, at this moment, I will tell my friend, like, the person I'm arguing with, wait, let's just do a video clip. Let's state our points. Version 1 and version 2. And after which we discussed, and at the end, talk about our feelings. This is a very interactive approach whereby you can test out your applicability of your conflict resolution skills. And I believe that not many people will try this. But remember, try it out if they are good friends with you. Now, you do not want the conflict becomes a big burden to you, right? You can try it out in real life situations, but don't use your boss as your technique. Don't use your boss. Your boss do not like it. Okay? You can try to do a video clip. I highly recommend that the video clip effect or impact is way better than just speaking it out, because it truly says what the people feel about you. Okay? That's the reason why I said here you can use your video clips as a demonstration tool. Now, not many people do it, but I'm just saying that this is an additional bonus. And finally, in here, you see the evaluation form. This speech objective is to allow the members to share their learning experience. Remember, remember the point where I focus on saying that you share your learning experience, not your success stories. Even if you fail, it's still a learning experience. How do you do better next time? Or whether you are solving it. Now, obviously, the evaluator has to know this manual. How do you go? Okay, so to elaborate on Lisa's point, log in to Toastmasters International webpage, go directly to the base camp. Now find the manual that you're like this one. If you're doing this one manual, click on it, and then read page by page. Every single page, there should be some instructions or some exercise or some videos. When there's a video, click play. And then you will actually see the video demonstration of everything. I hope that solved the problem for Lisa. Okay, you can have a look. Not every manual has a video clip. Some manuals do have, and this one has one. Okay. So here it says the member will deliver a very, very strict, it means a very strict, rigid format or structure, because this is more like a report. So there is a specific formula for that. Okay. Now when we look at it, you notice that this one, the evaluation form, it actually has an additional element of here. In English translation, it says that they have to share how they resolve this conflict. Now, why is there this component in this evaluation form? It's because there are members around the world that do not follow speech objectives. And this is a review of whether they follow it or not. Okay? Some people randomly do it. If someone randomly do it, I will put a 1 because that is like out of topic already. But then they can still do on their speech. It's up to their integrity or more on their own personal learning. Now you see that this manual has finished. Now one final tip I would like to give when I'm in the bus, when I'm in the bus I can do so, is that in this conflict resolution is everywhere. As long as there are people, there will be conflicts. Now for me, for those of you who know about my story, I have conflicts for the past few years and it was very terrible. Even now I still have conflicts. But we want to, through conflicts, we want to learn a lesson and just letting people know that I have a conflict right now. And that conflict actually allows me to understand more about whether I can adjust my tone and bluntness in approaching people so that I can consider people's feelings. Now, this is an adjustment of my techniques. So people might not like it. So I keep on learning. It's a lifelong learning experience. So next time when you have a conflict, think about anything good out of learning from this conflict resolution. Try to apply the techniques and you'll go very far in life. I'll pass the stage back to Sandy.